Welcome to Jacqueline Olson's capstone presentation. I have always loved teaching, and ever since I can remember, I wanted to teach and was teaching. I remember teaching my brother math at the age of 6, and now he's an engineer, so I figured it was probably a great career for me. I began my journey at APU as an undergrad and graduated with a bachelor's in liberal studies in 2011. So the natural next step was to continue on with my master's in digital teaching and learning, which I have thoroughly enjoyed. In EDUC 511, I focused on creating my live binder, writing So What Who Cares paper, as well as creating a Wordle. In EDUC 512, I learned all about a computer hardware as well as computer software and the best programming and how to take care of your computer in the best way. In EDUC 514 with Bill Selleck, I learned so much about video and how to use it in the classroom, how to edit, how to use proper sound and light. It was an extremely jam-packed class and I loved it. Although Jason Selleck was a lot more chill, we learned just as much. He taught us all about different apps that are great for the classroom, as well as developing your PLN and using Twitter to stay in touch with other teachers and communicate ideas back and forth. Then, of course, EDUC 522 with Jennifer Cordiff was an incredible class where we learned all about the 7 multiple intelligences as well as Bloom's taxonomy and how to include all of that with technology in the classroom. We also created a video explaining our unit plan and the technology that we included, as well as the multiple intelligences. Which brings us to the reason why I'm creating this video in the first place, EDUC 526. It is the capstone experience class with Dr. Cordiff. We wrote our growth assessment paper as well as our action research project. My action research project was originally going to be to find out how my staff was using the technology resources that we had available to us. However, I found out that my staff is incredible, so I focused on the administrative part and what support needs to be in place in order to succeed at using the technology that we have. Finally, we created a website to showcase all of our hard work. We created 15 lesson plans for our unit plan. My unit plan was on modern affairs. It was a 4th grade social studies unit for a private school in Pasadena. Therefore, although it does connect to the California state standards, they're for 10th and 11th grade, not 4th grade. Lesson 1. The students will be learning about the Korean War and will need to identify North and South Korea, the longitude that separates them, and the importance of the geographic location of this war. Lesson 2. Students will need to find a picture that shows segregation and will write a narrative or opinion piece on their student blog. Lesson 3. The students will identify the pros and cons to allowing desegregation of historically white schools. Students will create a play depicting the story of Ruby Bridges. Day 4. The students will analyze Martin Luther's I Have a Dream speech. And then, the students will create a fake book on Martin Luther King or another famous civil rights activist. Students will learn about the controversy surrounding the Vietnam War in Lesson 5. The students will create their own anti-war protest and will be able to explain why they are protesting the Vietnam War when the other students ask them what they are doing. In Lesson 6, students will learn about John F. Kennedy's assassination. They will research a newspaper article from 1963 using Google News. Lesson 7, the students will evaluate the effects of the Cold War on the space race and the United States' relations with the Soviet Union. In Lesson 8, the students will create an advertisement to persuade the United States to join in the space race and to support this massive endeavor. In Lesson 9, the students will create a mind map to summarize the thread of events leading up to the fall of the Berlin Wall. In Lesson 10, students will write a story with a character who lived in Germany before and after the country's unification. In Lesson 11, the students will learn about the 4 different division spaces in Berlin, and the students will take pictures of places that look like they could have been found on one side or the other of the Berlin Wall. In Lesson 12, the students will need to present in front of the whole class, explaining their reasoning behind the pictures that they took. Finally, the students will represent a historical monument such as the Brandenburg Gate as a sculpture using clay or other materials. In Lesson 14, the students will choose a poem about 9/11 which they will need to memorize over the course of the week. They will then paraphrase this poem and create a survey which they will give to their parents and loved ones. The students will use the questions that they asked their parents and other family members in Lesson 14 to create a short interview film which they will show to the class. I could not be more satisfied with my master's program at APU. I thank all of my professors who were incredible and gave me such knowledge and such depth of information that was extremely useful for my job as an educator. Thank you so much for having watched my Capstone Project. It's an exciting time to be an educator, and I am so glad to have my master's. It's done with, and now I can focus on implementing everything that I've learned into my classroom and helping my students learn in the best way that they can.